What's up, besties and homies? It's your girl Aisha checking in, back with another video. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Strong Friends Check-In Podcast. Today I want to talk about the cycle of abuse. I think this is important because there is a lot of confusion about the cycle of abuse. So hopefully by me sharing my knowledge and some of my personal experience with you, you will gain a better understanding of the cycle of abuse. There are 4 things that everyone should know about DV. Abuse is about control. All abusers think alike. There are different types of abuse, but all abuse is fundamentally mental. Abusers know the law, so they outsmart the law until it catches up with them. Psychologically, every abuser has age regression. That means they are stuck at the age of significant childhood trauma. That's why they throw tantrums, they adopt a false identity, and they have a strong need to control. It's like playing make-believe. They see themselves as gods who have the right and power to violate others. They convince themselves that they are worthy and entitled to things that they aren't capable or willing to give. From a spiritual perspective, unresolved trauma creates spiritual dwarfism. These individuals are small-minded. They refuse to grow spiritually. They reject morality, and they have a faith deficit. I think they're godless, which explains the God complex. Because a faith deficit makes people think that there is no God. And so if there is no God, then I must be God. There are different types and manifestations of abuse, but every abuser thinks the same. I'll repeat that. There are different types and manifestations of abuse, but every abuser thinks the same. That's why it's difficult for people to understand the cycle of abuse. They don't understand that Martell Holt and Diddy are fundamentally the same. One is richer, the other has a cleaner image, but they think the same. In my opinion, they are both dangerous. They are both criminal. One is no better than the other. All abuse is mental. It always starts with mind control. Most abusers aren't physical because they have mind control. Once they've successfully brainwashed their victim, they can control the other dimensions. Because remember, the mind is the gateway to the soul. If one can control the mind, he or she can control the soul. This is how evil works in spiritual warfare. Once they have mind control, they can control the victim's emotions, body, and finances. They can control the victim's livelihood. How do they gain mind control? By establishing a legal contract with their victim through marriage, procreation, and/or business. They use marital and property rights to control the victim. They use parental rights to control the victim. They leverage business and employment to control the victim. All right, let's discuss the legal contract of procreation. Contrary to popular belief, procreation automatically grants legal rights to the abuser. The abuser can take his or her child at any time without penalty until custody is established. A custody order is a legal contract designed to create order, but abusers don't understand order. They're out of order. They violate custody agreements by finding ways to manipulate and abuse the law. Their goal is always to control the victim. Abusers weaponize marriage to control victims. As I stated, they use marital and property rights to control the victim. To most, marriage is not only a legal contract, but also a moral contract. If the victim is like me, she's deeply spiritual, so the moral contract is primarily important. Abusers know this. A woman who values marriage will be more committed to the marriage because she values her relationship with God. This is my personal story. I entered a legal contract thinking it was a marriage covenant, and he used my moral virtue against me. This is why choosing an evolved man, not a religious man, is important. I want to reiterate that all abusers think alike. Let's use Love and Marriage Huntsville as an example. Martell Hope is not a family man. He leveraged marriage to use, control, and violate Melody. People can't unsee the family man persona he presented on the show, so they defend his criminal behavior. They think he's better than Diddy because he married Melody, but neither man is marriage material. Abusers leverage business and employment to control the victim. Mixing business with pleasure is an easy way to control the victim's livelihood. Tory Lanez used his business relationship with Megan to groom, manipulate, and use her. The abuser can use the business relationship to steal from the victim. The abuser can employ the victim and use the job as leverage to control them. Notice that Diddy had a business relationship with his victims. He used procreation and business to control women. By mixing business with pleasure, he could control them mentally, emotionally, physically, and financially. He had so much to leverage. According to the information in the civil complaint, Diddy owed Cassie unpaid wages. Cassie's settlement was compensatory and punitive. People make cruel statements about paying victims for abuse. I think it's ignorant, inhumane, and absolutely ridiculous, because there are only two ways that our legal system can apply justice. Either it will incarcerate the abuser or award monetary damages to the victim. Sometimes it will do both. And this is why I say that there is so much confusion about the cycle of abuse, because Cassie was Diddy's employee. So he owed her unpaid wages. This is what I'm saying. He intentionally mixed business with pleasure so that he could leverage the business relationship to control and abuse her. I don't know why that's so hard for some people to understand, especially considering that Diddy has a reputation for stealing from his artist. Cassie was not only his girlfriend, she was his artist. And because I understand the cycle of abuse, I wouldn't even call her his ex-girlfriend, because she was groomed into assuming that role. She only wanted a business relationship with him. According to various news sources, he unlawfully fired victims. He allegedly blackballed victims. In my opinion, he used and brainwashed his children. Recent news reports add credibility to that. Misa called him out publicly when Justin was charged with a DUI. Christian has been accused of SA, like father, like son. Diddy weaseled his way into Quincy's life, posing as a father figure to manipulate Kim. So you see, these are all the different ways in which he was able to gain control over his victims. Now, some of you might be asking, why are some physically abusive while others are not? Let's use Diddy as an example. Again, Diddy is physically abusive because having mind control doesn't satisfy his ego. There is a spectrum of evil. There is a moral spectrum of good and evil that people don't want to accept. All sin is not equal. That's a misinterpretation spread by religious extremists that I call witches and warlocks. Diddy is on the far end of evil. There are different types of narcissists. Covert, overt, and malignant are the three main types. I spoke about this in my video entitled Narcissism, the Real Pandemic. Some narcissists are overt, meaning they're extroverts, they're aggressive, they're more outgoing, while others are covert, they're introverts and undercover. And based on my experience, I think that covert narcissists are a lot more dangerous, right? Because they're undercover. And don't get me wrong, overt narcissists don't tell anyone that they're narcissists. Well, some do actually, but it's rare. It's rare that they will admit that they're narcissists. So all of them are hiding and scheming and sending their representative. However, A covert narcissist can go easily under the radar because they often play this modest, humble, quiet role. So you really have to observe people and vet people because they don't all look the same. Some are overt, others are covert. And then there is a third category, malignant, which usually they're just more violent. Malignant narcissists are usually more violent and have drug and alcohol addictions. I think I forgot to mention drug and alcohol in that episode, but I encourage you to watch it. It is highly informative. Now let's talk about how the cycle of abuse starts. So there is a selection process. It's the process of choosing a victim. The predator finds and captures prey. Naivety is a characteristic that abusers look for during this process. Of course, we know Cassie was naive. She was young, she was full of ambition, and she wanted to be successful in the entertainment industry. Naivety is not synonymous with unintelligence. I'll say that again. Naivety is not synonymous with unintelligence. Strong, intelligent people can be naive in personal relationships. We see that all the time. Narcissists view strong, intelligent people as top shelf supply. There is a misconception that narcissists only target weak or unintelligent people. Narcissists view strong, intelligent people as top shelf supply. Naivety is often a factor that determines whether someone will take the bait. There are a lot of smart people who grew up in healthy environments. They've never seen this brand of evil. So that might make them a target for narcissistic abuse or a target of narcissistic abuse simply because they grew up in healthy environments. So it doesn't mean that they're unintelligent. It's just they've never seen that brand of evil. Abusers also look for people who lack family support. It doesn't always mean their family is dysfunctional. It could just be a different family dynamic, an unusual family dynamic. And maybe they come from a small adoptive family, or maybe it's their biological family, but it's a small family. Or their family members are spread out throughout the country. So they live in different locations. So even though they're loved by their family members, they're not in their immediate environment. So it could be a number of different situations. Also, some people are raised by older parents. Some people are raised by grandparents. And oftentimes that makes them sheltered in a way because there is a generation gap. And so there is a lot about life that they probably won't learn from their older parents or their grandparents because it's a different day and time. Things have changed. Grooming is also a part of the process. Grooming is gaining access and building trust. Mirroring is a part of the grooming process. It creates an illusion of bonding. So abusers love to use mirroring to create an illusion of bonding, to make themselves seem more relatable. They pretend like they value the same things as their victim. They have the same ambitions, or they pretend like they understand their victims. It's important to note that they never stop grooming. Every phase of the relationship involves grooming. So there's grooming with every life change. As a matter of fact, life changes present good opportunities for abusers to groom. For example, having a baby, that is procreation. And so now the abuser has an opportunity to now use that child as a pawn to control the victim. The cycle of abuse continues through the leveraging of legal contracts and constant grooming and gaslighting. Blaming the victim for problems in the relationship, marriage, or business is reverse psychology. The abuser knows that the victim wants peace and prosperity. Every time the abuser blames the victim, it gives the victim hope that he or she can fix the problem. If I take accountability, I can fix it. We can have peace and move forward. It's a trap. I hope this gives you a better understanding of the cycle of abuse. I hope it empowers someone to break the cycle, and I hope it inspires empathy in listeners who have been blessed not to experience abuse. If you feel trapped, please seek help. Please check the description box for additional information. Know that you are worthy. Know that you are loved. Please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, it's your girl, Aisha, signing off.